Hi, I'm Louisa Sijabat, liquidator and bankruptcy trustee. So today's question is, I'm choosing between a small business restructuring and a liquidation for my company. You mentioned something about Division 7A loans over our call. Would you mind reminding me how they're treated in each option? So the answer to this question is in a small business restructuring, creditors, including the ATO, might consider Division 7A loan assets when they're considering how they'd like to vote in relation to that company's small business restructuring proposal. Some of the things they might look at might include the relative size of the total Division 7A loan assets on a balance sheet as compared with the amount of the debt owed to creditors. The reason behind this is some creditors may think, well, if your Division 7A loan assets are $500,000 and your tax debt or total debt are $500,000, perhaps the company might have been able to pay its tax debt if Division 7A loan assets hadn't been taken out or provided by the company. Now, having Division 7A loan assets on your balance sheet is not necessarily a deal breaker, but creditors might like to look at the relative size of the Division 7A loan assets compared with the debt, as well as the recent trends on the Division 7A loan assets. For example, have they been decreasing because perhaps has there been a significant effort to repay these to the company? Or, in the alternative, have they been increasing? And if so, what's the reason why? And do creditors like or accept that reason? So, having Division 7A loan assets on a balance sheet raises some points that would be worth looking into further, but they are not necessarily a deal breaker for having a plan approved. In a liquidation, Division 7A loan assets are recognised as assets of the company. They sit on the balance sheet, they are legal assets, the same way that plant and equipment is an asset of the company. So these are recoverable in a liquidation. So they either need to be repaid on liquidation or some sort of meaningful settlement reached with the liquidator, the same way that any other debtor of the company might need to reach a meaningful settlement with the liquidator. The follow-up question was what happens if the director doesn't have any assets and doesn't have any means and, for example, had provided a lot of personal guarantees for the company's debts and now potentially is facing bankruptcy. In that case, if the director has no means and even if the director is in bankruptcy, there's potentially now no way for the loans to be repaid, and as such, they might be deemed uncollectible by the liquidator. In that case, or in the case of the bankruptcy of the director, the liquidator may lodge a claim in the bankruptcy of the director for the amount of those loans. However, if the director has no assets or no means and the bankrupt estate has no funds, then they may not be repaid at all in the liquidation of the company.